Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. You are not obligated to provide a blueprint of your life to anyone. The more you talk, the more doors you open for opinions, judgments, and even sabotage from those who do not understand your path. In this loud world, the riskiest thing you can do is to announce every move you intend to make. Why? Because the moment you reveal your intentions, you create a space for interference. People will add their doubts, their fears, and their limitations to something that was meant to be purely yours. Not everyone who listens understands. Not everyone who hears supports. Great things often begin in darkness, not in the spotlight. Seeds grow best in soil, hidden from view, and your vision works the same way. Energy expands where attention flows. Each time you waste energy on explanations, endless talking, or trying to make people believe in what you see, you scatter the force required to bring that dream to life. Talking feels like progress. It gives a rush, a sense of motion, but that feeling is an illusion unless your words are backed by consistent action. Words without movement are like smoke without fire. They create an impression, but there is no heat. The danger of speaking too much about what you intend to do is that the mind begins to confuse words with deeds. You feel accomplished because you spoke it, yet nothing in reality has changed. That is why so many speak loudly but deliver so little. Their energy is exhausted, impressing others instead of investing in the real work. Every word you speak consumes mental fuel, and when that fuel is burned in conversation instead of creation, your progress slows. Silence is a different kind of power. It sharpens focus. It concentrates energy like a blade instead of scattering it like dust in the wind. When you stop explaining, when you stop updating everyone, when you stop offering your plans to those who have not earned the right to hear them, you reclaim your mental strength. You become clear. You move with intention. And most importantly, you preserve the inner flame that drives you. Because real power does not need to announce itself. It is revealed through results. Execution is a full-time commitment. It cannot afford distractions disguised as discussion. If you truly want to move forward, direct your attention like a weapon. Aim it at your craft, your practice, your next step. Let your achievements make the noise while your process remains unseen. When you protect your energy and give it only to what truly matters, momentum grows, clarity deepens, and results begin to speak a language louder than any words ever could. Understand this. Most people will not understand you, and they do not need to. Your vision was not handed out in a public meeting for collective approval. It was whispered to you in the quiet, deep inside your soul, when no one else was watching. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that others must understand their path before they can begin to walk it. They believe acceptance is a prerequisite for progress. But the truth is, when you share your plans with minds that do not think like yours, you invite misunderstanding, judgment, and quiet resistance. Not because people are malicious. Most are simply conditioned to fear what they cannot control and question what they cannot comprehend. Your courage might unsettle their comfort. Your ambition may shine a light on their stagnation, and without realizing it, they project their limits onto your limitless dream. They will tell you to slow down, to be realistic, to take a safer route to help you, but to protect themselves from the discomfort of watching someone aim higher. If you are not careful, you will begin to shrink your vision to fit their small expectations, and that is the most tragic exchange you could ever make: your potential for their comfort. You were not born to explain your every move to people who only know how to walk in circles. You were meant to break patterns, not seek validation from those trapped inside them. So let them doubt. Let them misread your silence as arrogance or interpret your focus as distance. That misunderstanding is not yours to carry. You owe no one an explanation for why you work the way you do, why you keep to yourself, or where you are headed. Those destined to walk alongside you will see your path without needing a map. The rest are mere spectators. and their applause or criticism is irrelevant. Share less, guard more, move with discretion. Trust that what is clear to you does not need to make sense to the entire world, because when the results come, those who questioned your process will have no choice but to respect the outcome, and by then, your work will speak louder than their doubts ever could. But here is a reality many find hard to accept. Not every ear that hears your dream is a friend to it. Some will smile, nod, and even offer encouragement, but deep inside, they quietly hope you fail, not because you harmed them, but because your pursuit reminds them of everything they are not doing. Your courage becomes a mirror that reflects their fear. Instead of rising with you, they would rather watch you stumble, because your success threatens their sense of security. That is why silence is not just discipline, it is protection. The fewer people who know your plans, the fewer chances for envy, doubt, and disguised sabotage to invade your space. And sabotage rarely comes as open attack. Often it appears as subtle suggestions. Maybe you are aiming too high. Don't you think that's risky? Tiny seeds of doubt planted by those who cannot see what you see. It can also come as distractions, as friendly detours. They'll pull you away from your mission at the very moment momentum is building. Not every critic is loud. Not every threat looks hostile. Some of the most dangerous voices are the ones that wear the mask of concern or false support. That is why the habit of talking too much about your plans is an open invitation for interference. You give people access to something that is not ready for exposure. Your ideas need privacy to grow strong roots. Not everyone deserves access to that sacred stage of development, especially those who have not shared your sacrifices or earned your trust. Keep your path clean. Protect it fiercely. Let people wonder. Curiosity is harmless compared to envy fed by clarity. Move with quiet confidence, knowing that the fewer people who know, the fewer people who can interfere. When your results are ready, they will announce themselves louder than any words ever could. Until then, guard your vision like a fragile seed that must be shielded from the storm. Premature exposure leads to premature judgment, and the cost of speaking too soon is heavier than most realize. When an idea is still unformed, soft, and vulnerable, it does not need an audience. It needs time, solitude, and nurturing. Too many people fall into the trap of revealing their plans before those plans have taken root. They crave encouragement, but open themselves up to judgment instead. Here is the truth. When you share your vision prematurely, you are not just inviting support, you are inviting scrutiny, unsolicited advice, and even ridicule. People start poking holes in something that is not yet solid. Before you realize it, doubt begins to creep in, not because your idea lacks strength, but because someone else's limited perspective begins to shrink your belief. Suddenly, you second-guess yourself. You hesitate. You start adjusting your original dream to fit the mold of their comfort zone. That is how momentum dies, not because the idea was flawed, but because it was not protected long enough to mature in silence. Every creative process, every great ambition, goes through a fragile stage where it needs privacy and internal alignment, not external opinions from those who have not earned the right to shape it. It is not that all feedback is harmful, but feedback given too early is often based on misunderstanding. People respond to what they see, and if they cannot see your full vision, they fill the gaps with fear, doubt, and false practicality disguised as concern. That is why true builders and masters work quietly at the beginning. They understand the difference between creating something real and simply talking about it. Silence is not secrecy for secrecy's sake. It is a sacred shield that protects your dream while it gains strength, clarity, and structure. When the right moment comes and your foundation is solid, then let it be known. But until then, guard your process. Not because you fear criticism, but because your vision deserves space to grow without being dissected before it is born. Talking builds pressure, doing builds progress, and the gap between these two is the line that separates those who only dream from those who actually deliver. There is a dangerous high that comes from announcing your goals. It feeds the ego, gives you a hit of importance, and tricks you into feeling victorious simply for speaking them aloud. But here is the problem: that announcement creates pressure without progress. Now you are performing for applause instead of working for results. You become addicted to reaction instead of committed to execution. The more you speak, the more you raise expectations, not only in the minds of others, but also in your own. And with that comes the fear of falling short, the burden of living up to words that were spoken long before any real foundation was built. Suddenly, your focus shifts from doing the work in silence to maintaining an image. That is not purpose, that is performance. But when you choose to move in silence, anchored in action, you strip away the need for validation and build something real, brick by brick. No one is watching, no one is judging. You are free to fail, to adjust, to refine without the pressure of living up to a public promise. You are not chasing recognition, you are pursuing results. And when those results arrive, they speak with undeniable authority. They do not need a headline, a post, or a loud announcement. They stand as proof. That is why you must stop treating every goal as a trophy to display and start treating it as a sacred contract between you and your discipline. Let your ego stay hungry. Keep the spotlight away. Let the world wonder what you are doing while you quietly put in the work that turns silence into success. Because at the end of the day, the scoreboard does not record who spoke the loudest. It records who stayed focused, who endured, and who completed what they began. People never forget what you say. And if you are not careful, your own words can become the very rope others use to pull you down. Often, this does not happen out of malice, but out of habit, projection, or a sense of superiority. The moment you overshare your plans, and next big moves, you create silent contracts in the minds of others' expectations they begin to measure you against, even if they never tell you. Suddenly, every step you take is under observation. Every delay is noted. Every change of direction is questioned. Without realizing it, you hand them a ruler and invite them to measure your progress. And when life unfolds differently than it always does, those same people will not remember your effort with empathy. They will critique with comparison. Weren't you supposed to finish by now? I thought you said the launch was happening already. What happened to that big thing you told everyone about? They will use your own enthusiasm as a benchmark to challenge your current reality. Not because they truly care about your growth, but because people love to keep score, especially when it is not their game. The more you talk, the more evidence you give them. And when things do not go perfectly, your own words become the weapon. That oversharing becomes the open door for criticism, sarcasm, or silent judgment. Now, while you are wrestling with the natural challenges of building something real, you are also battling the noise of expectations you accidentally created. That is why discretion is power. Keep your steps private until they are strong enough to stand without explanation. Talk less so you owe less. Protect your process from eyes that only look to count, compare, and comment. When you speak too early and too often, you do not just share your goals, you share your vulnerabilities. And not everyone deserves access to that sacred space. Let your actions speak as your announcement. Let your success serve as your explanation. Quiet work leads to undeniable strength. Look at those who make the deepest impact. They are often the ones who speak the least while doing the most. They are not chasing attention. They are cultivating mastery, while others broadcast every step, hungry for validation through effort alone. These quiet achievers are working in silence, far away from the noise and distraction of the spotlight. Why? Because they understand something most people miss. Real power does not need a declaration. Power reveals itself through results. It does not shout. It does not plead for recognition. It speaks through presence, precision, and performance, not through noise. When you commit to the work privately, You give yourself freedom to fail without shame, to refine without interference, and to evolve without seeking permission or applause. You are not working to be seen. You are working to become undeniable. And when that private discipline compounds, when all those early mornings, late nights, sacrifices, and unseen hours finally transform into results, the world will have no choice but to pay attention. Not because you told them to, but because the echo of achievement cannot be ignored. This type of power cannot be faked. It cannot be rushed. It is not handed out. It is earned in silence, in solitude, in the sacred gap between who you are now and who you are becoming. While others waste time selling an image, you are creating substance. While they speak loudly about their intentions, you are executing with quiet confidence. And when the moment of arrival comes, your presence will speak louder than all their noise combined. So remain low, stay grounded, work unseen. Let the universe amplify your effort when the time is right. You do not need to prove yourself at every step. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. Let your silence spark curiosity, and let your results deliver the message. In a world filled with constant noise and endless talkers, the one who moves quietly and still wins is the one they never forget. Private work is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the soil where greatness takes root, and when that greatness blooms, no one will be able to ignore it. Control the narrative by saying less. In an age obsessed with sharing every detail, power belongs to those who master the art of restraint. Because every time you speak, you surrender a little control, not only over the information, but over perception. The more you reveal, the more fragments people collect. And from fragments, they build stories, assumptions, and judgments that rarely reflect your truth. But when you choose silence, you leave no space for misinterpretation because you have given them nothing to twist. Silence is not avoidance. It is authorship. It is your way of writing your story on your own terms. You decide what is shared, when it is shared, and who is worthy to know. You do not allow the world to fill in the blanks with noise because you have given them no blanks to fill. This is not secrecy for the sake of secrecy. It is precision. It is the discipline of someone who values progress over performance, focus over fame, and clarity over chaos. Every time you open your mouth, you risk giving away not just information, but leverage. When people know your next move, they can anticipate it, question it, or interfere with it. But when you operate in silence, you hold all the cards. No one can challenge what they do not know. This creates a calm center around you, an energy of quiet strength. Not arrogance, but discipline. It draws attention without effort, because mystery creates magnetism, and when you finally do speak, whether through words, actions, or results, your message lands with power. It carries weight because it is rare. It holds clarity because it is intentional. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, the one who speaks less commands the room. Do not fall into the illusion that you owe anyone a running commentary on your process. You do not say less, mean more. Let silence become your shield, your compass, and your amplifier. The less they know, the less they can distort, and the more power remains where it belongs, in your hands. Your mind, your creativity, your vision, they all work better without an audience. Because the process of creation is intimate and fragile. It thrives in solitude, away from expectations and noise. When you build under watchful eyes, you are no longer creating freely, you are performing, and performance changes everything. That audience, even if it is supportive, introduces distraction. Doubt slips in. You begin to edit your work to fit what you think they want, rather than what your vision demands. Instead of exploring boldly, you start censoring. Instead of creating from authenticity, you start chasing approval. And that is how originality dies. But when you protect your mental space and work in private, you give your mind the freedom to wander, to experiment, and to make mistakes without fear. That private sanctuary becomes the birthplace of innovation, the ground where breakthroughs happen. Without the burden of external judgment, your ideas flow without barriers. You uncover insights you never would have found under the spotlight. It is in that quiet where your true voice emerges, where your unique perspective takes form, where your strongest work is born. The applause can wait, because real mastery is never about praise. It is about process, and the process needs space to breathe. When the noise fades and you are alone with your thoughts, something powerful happens. Focus deepens, clarity sharpens, and creativity begins to bloom. The mind works best without an audience because creativity is delicate. It is a fragile flame that can be blown out by the winds of opinion and expectation. When you create with too many eyes watching, you are no longer building for yourself, you are performing for others. And that performance reshapes the process. The pressure of being observed changes your decisions. It clouds your instincts. Suddenly, your work is no longer pure, it becomes tailored, filtered, and compromised by what you think others want to see. Instead of exploring the unknown, you stay safe. Instead of pushing boundaries, you stay within their comfort zones. This is why the early stages of any vision require privacy. Because real growth needs freedom, the freedom to fail, to adjust, to restart without judgment, the freedom to take risks without fear of commentary. That freedom only exists in solitude. In silence, your mind roams without limitation. Ideas unfold without interruption. Challenges are faced without the distraction of opinions pulling you in every direction. And it is in that stillness that your greatest breakthroughs will come. The applause will come later. It is not meant for this stage. The process, not the praise, is what matters now. The best work is shaped in the quiet, away from the performance of constant updates and social validation. When you strip away the noise, you enter a state of deep concentration that fuels both creativity and productivity. You begin to trust yourself again, your instincts, your perspective, your unique way of seeing the world. That trust is what allows you to push boundaries, take bold steps, and create something original. Solitude also gives you patience. It lets you wrestle with challenges, rethink strategies, and refine your craft without pressure. It teaches you to value the unseen hours, the slow progress, the invisible victories that eventually build something extraordinary. Remember this: the world will see your work when it is ready, but it does not need to witness the entire process. Protect that process like a sacred ritual. Guard your mental space with discipline. Nurture your ideas in silence, because when the time comes to reveal what you have built, it will be sharper, stronger, and more authentic than anything shaped under the weight of an audience. And when it finally steps into the light, it will not need an introduction. Its quality will speak louder than applause ever could. There is another truth, explaining slows evolution. Every time you feel the urge to justify your choices, clarify your moves, or convince others why you are walking this path, you tie yourself to their understanding, and their understanding is not your responsibility. Explaining drains energy that could be spent on action, on growth, on refinement. The need to explain keeps you trapped in conversation instead of moving forward in execution. And once you stop explaining, you free yourself. You free yourself from the weight of their opinions, the burden of their timelines, and the prison of their expectations. You stop shaping your life to fit their approval and start walking to the rhythm of your own conviction. That is when evolution accelerates, because growth is messy. It is non-linear. It is often misunderstood. And when you keep seeking permission from those who do not see what you see, you slow your transformation to match their pace. But when you release the need to explain, you create space for change to unfold without interference. You stop wasting energy defending your progress and start using that energy to overcome obstacles, to innovate, to push beyond limits. You become less reactive to criticism and more responsive to intuition. That shift changes everything. It propels you beyond the boundaries that other people's perceptions once placed on you. Silence becomes your sanctuary, and in that sanctuary, transformation takes root. It grows quietly, gathering strength, until the day it emerges unshakable. Life changes the moment you stop explaining and start trusting yourself. You become unstoppable not because the world finally understands you, but because you stop needing it to. That release unlocks a higher version of you, one that moves from conviction rather than validation. Energy flows where attention goes, and every time you waste energy convincing, debating, or defending, you scatter the very power you need to make progress. Talking feels productive. It gives you that quick satisfaction, the illusion of motion. But in reality, it is just noise and less. It is backed by relentless execution. Words without action are like smoke without fire. They suggest heat, but nothing burns. And when you speak too much about what you intend to do, your brain begins to confuse intention with completion. You feel rewarded for saying it, even though nothing has moved in the real world. That is why so many people speak loudly and deliver little. They pour their energy into impressing instead of investing in the grind. Every sentence costs mental fuel, and when that fuel is burned in conversation instead of creation, progress slows to a crawl. Silence, on the other hand, is sharp. It focuses your force like a blade instead of scattering it like a weak beam of light. When you stop leaking your plans, when you stop feeding everyone updates, when you protect your process from those who have not earned the right to witness it, you reclaim your mental clarity. You move with purpose. You preserve your inner flame. Because real strength does not announce itself, fit reveals itself through results. Execution is a full-time responsibility. It cannot share space with distractions disguised as dialogue. If you want to get ahead, treat your attention like a weapon. Aim it at your craft, your discipline, your next small step. Let your results speak, and let your process stay private. Because when you protect your energy and feed it only to what matters, momentum builds, clarity sharpens, and progress begins to speak a language no words can match. Most will not understand you, and they do not have to. Your vision was not handed out for group approval. It was whispered to you in a moment of stillness, planted deep in your soul where only you could hear it. The mistake too many make is thinking that understanding must come before execution. They assume the world's agreement is a condition for their movement. It is not. The more you share with minds untrained to think like yours, the more confusion, resistance, and fear you invite. Not because people are cruel, but because most are wired to doubt what they cannot define. Your courage challenges their complacency. Your ambition exposes their excuses. And without intending harm, they may project their limits onto your limitless dream. They will advise you to slow down, to play safe, to lower the bar. Not because they want your good, but because they want their comfort. And if you are not careful, you will start shrinking your dream to fit their smallness. Do not dim for their ease. You are not born to walk in circles explaining your every move. You were born to break the pattern, to build in silence, to rise without permission. So let them wonder, let them doubt, let them call your focus distance and your silence arrogance. None of that is your burden. The right ones will understand without explanation. The rest are just spectators. Spectators do not shape the game. Speak less, guard more, move quietly, and when the work is ready, let it roar so loud the same people who questioned you will not be able to ignore it. Until then, keep your dream under lock and key, because not all applause is pure, and not every listener is rooting for your rise. Remember this, in a world addicted to noise, the one who masters silence holds the power. Talkers make promises, doers deliver, and those who learn the art of restraint, who protect their process and let their success become unforgettable. So keep your head low, keep your hands busy, keep your mouth closed until your results stand tall enough to speak for themselves. Because in the end, the scoreboard does not care who shouted the loudest. It remembers who finished what they started. Be that finisher. Quiet, focused, unstoppable.